We have with us today the most fresh and sweet news from the Korean bio industry. If you want to know about the Korean bio market, don't forget to subscribe to Bio TV now. The first is SK Biopharmaceuticals listing news. On July 2nd, SK Biopharm, one of the biggest corporate disclosures of this year, launched a public offering worth $795 million. The market capitalization expected after the KOSPI listing is estimated to be $3.2 billion. As a result, expectations are rising that the public disclosure of pharmaceutical and bio companies which have been somewhat contracted to COVID-19 will recover with SK Biopharm's listing. Last year, SK Biopharm turned to domestic KOSPI listing instead of the Nasdaq market. At that time, the value of SK Biopharm's value set by the stock market reached $5 billion. However, the value submitted by SK Biopharm last year was valued $830 million less than the market price. SK Biopharm tried to push ahead with its listing on the stock market sooner, but the COVID-19 forced the company to delay its listing plan. It seems that SK Group and the organizer were in the position that they had to consider the depressed market situation due to the COVID-19 crisis. SK Biopharm is a company created by SK Group with a 100% stake and the main purpose of developing new drugs. Since it started developing new drugs for central nervous system disease in 1993, when SK Group was switched to a holding company system in 2007, it switched to a life science division and again to an independent corporation in 2011. After 27 years of full support from SK Group, Chairman Choi Tae-won's willingness to foster the bio industry seems to have been greatly reflected. One thing to note about SK Biopharm is for the first time in Korea, it independently conducted the entire process of discovering new drug candidates for epilepsy, global clinical trials, and obtaining FDA approval to sell new drugs. Last year, SK Biopharm received approval from the FDA to sell its sleep disorder drug, Sunosi. In November of the same year, the new drug cenobamate was officially released in the U.S. market in May this year after obtaining FDA approval. It is meaningful that the SK Biopharm is the first Korean pharmaceutical company to successfully develop new innovation to list them at the commercialization stage. SK Biopharm plans to more than double its marketing costs and quadruple its production costs in 2021 in preparation for increased sales of cenobamate in order to expand cenobamate's market. SK Biopharm said it plans to use the public offering funds secured through this IPO as a growth resource to become a global comprehensive pharmaceutical company, including innovative drug research and development and commercialization investment. Will SK Biopharm emerge as a new giant in the Korean bio market after Celltrion and Samsung BioPLUS? SK Biopharm submitted a securities report to the Financial Services Commission on June 19th, and it will complete the application for new listing within this month after the demand forecast for the domestic and foreign institutional investors from July 17th to 18th and subscription from July 23rd to 24th. Will Remdesivir be able to solve the COVID-19 pandemic? Remdesivir, one of the leading drugs in COVID-19 treatments, is also available in Korea. The Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said in a press conference that it signed a free supply contract with Remdesivir importer Gilead Sciences Korea through domestic introduction talks and will start supplying drugs in July 1st. Those who are given Remdesivir first are seriously ill patients who have pneumonia and need oxygen treatment. If a hospital treating severe patients requests the National Medical Center to supply them, the National Medical Center will consult with them to determine who will be given the medication. Subject to medication are patients who meet all four conditions and have been diagnosed with pneumonia due to chest X-ray or CT within 10 days of symptoms, and patients who provide oxygen treatment with oxygen saturation dropping below 94% will be selected as priority treatment targets. The dosage period is based on 6 bottles for 5 days, but if it's needed, it can be extended by 5 more days. However, it seems that the total duration should not exceed 10 days. Details such as the amount of introduction were not disclosed in accordance with the terms of the contract with Gilead. However, the Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said that it will secure free supply by July and proceed with the purchase through price negotiation from August. Remdesivir was originally developed as an Ebola treatment, but it was noted as a COVID-19 treatment after an initial clinical trial in the U.S. recently announced that the recovery period of COVID-19 patients was reduced by 31%. Therefore, the Korean government brought Remdesivir to Korea through special import procedures. Meanwhile, Gilead Sciences said on June 29th that Remdesivir, which is used to treat common COVID-19 patients in the United States who have signed up for private health insurance, will total $3,120. That's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and set your alarm. Also, check out the news about BIOPLUS INTERPHEX Korea 2020, which will be held in September by KoreaBIO. In 2 weeks, we'll be back with new news for the Korean bio market. See you on the next episode. Bye.